Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Stop me if you've heard this one before, but Sean Payton is right. Again. And it's absolutely phenomenal news for every single Denver Broncos fan out there, because the man is making a mockery of the so-called experts and their ranking systems. But that's not all we're getting into today. We've also got a full breakdown of the burning questions heading into training camp. Questions whose answers are going to tell us everything we need to know about whether this Broncos team has what it takes to make a real Super Bowl run. If you love the Broncos, do me a favor and smash that like button and subscribe before we get going, because it genuinely helps this channel grow. Now let's dive in. Let's start with the disrespect, because there's no other word for it. Bo Nix went out last season and outdueled Josh Allen, the reigning MVP, in a playoff game on the road in January without his top running back and without two of his top wide receivers. He dropped 33 points on what was, by the numbers, the best secondary in professional football. And after all of that, he doesn't show up anywhere on ESPN's list of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Not top 10. Not even an honorable mention. According to ESPN, Bo Nix is somehow the 18th best quarterback in football. 18th, we laughed when we heard that, because we know it isn't even close to being true. Rewind back to the moment Sean Payton drafted Bo Nix. Payton went on record and told reporters that within 2 years, he believed Nix would be one of the top quarterbacks in all of professional football. Then he doubled down. He didn't just say one of the top guys, he said superstar. He said top 5, and the entire football world laughed at him for it. They laughed because, frankly, a lot of media members build an opinion early and then refuse to let it go no matter what new evidence comes in. They'd rather protect their preseason take than admit they got it wrong. But here's who isn't ignoring the evidence: the actual players in the league. Every single year, NFL players vote on the top 100 players in professional football. Their peers, the men who actually line up across from these guys and know who's really good and who isn't. Bo Nix showed up on that list last year despite not appearing on a single one of ESPN's rankings. And this year, he jumped up 5 more spots. Real recognizes real. The players who actually compete against Bo Nix every week are telling the world he's one of the best quarterbacks in football, full stop. He's now ranked above former #1 overall pick Bryce Young. He's above Trevor Lawrence. He's above former MVP Lamar Jackson. He's above Jordan Love, above Baker Mayfield, above Brock Purdy. And keep in mind, there are still 9 other quarterbacks who made last year's top 100 list who haven't even been revealed yet this year. So depending on where those reveals land, Bo Nix's actual standing among his peers could climb even higher once the full list drops. You could see it in how the league reacted to the announcement. Even players who aren't exactly Bo Nix's biggest fans, guys like Max Crosby, who has gone after him plenty of times, were out there talking about what a competitor he is. Patrick Surtain II spoke glowingly about him. Local media personalities pointed out that Bo Nix's own peers across the league rating him this highly means infinitely more than anything said by talking heads on social media. And you saw it ripple through the locker room too. Teammates like Nick Bonito reacting with fire emojis. Jalen Waddle sharing the news with a caption essentially calling it ridiculously cool. The support from his own teammates says just as much as the ranking itself. Here's the thing that should scare the rest of the league. Bo Nix is already a top 60 player in the NFL, and there are only a handful of quarterbacks rated ahead of him. Now give that quarterback a legitimate difference-making target like Jalen Waddle for the first time in his career. This is a quarterback who is about to have actual juice at wide receiver to go with everything he already built last season. It is not unreasonable to expect him to climb into the top 30 overall players in the league this year. That's the kind of leap we could be looking at. And it's not just Bo Nix. Out of 32 teams in the league, if you spread 100 spots evenly, that's roughly 3 players per team on average. The Broncos already have 3 players on this year's list, and that's before some of their better players have even been officially announced yet. based on the trajectory of this roster. It would not be shocking to see the Broncos finish with somewhere around 7 total players on the NFL's top 100 list this season. 7. That is an embarrassment of riches for a team that not long ago couldn't buy a Pro Bowl nod. Now let's shift gears because training camp is just days away. And for the first time in what feels like a decade, Broncos fans don't have to ask the one question that has haunted this franchise for years: who is the starting quarterback? That conversation is over. Bo Nix is QB1, no competition, no controversy, no drama. But that doesn't mean there aren't real questions worth asking. There are several storylines that are going to start getting answered the moment training camp opens, and a few that might not fully resolve until the season actually kicks off in September. So let's run through them one by one, along with some predictions, and feel free to disagree with me in the comments, because I guarantee not everyone is going to see these the same way. First question. After J.K. Dobbins, who is going to be the primary running back getting the RB2 workload? Is it R.J. Harvey? Jonah Coleman? Someone else in that room? My money is on R.J. Harvey getting the lion's share of those early down carries, while Jonah Coleman carves out a role as a legitimate third down weapon. Someone who can pass block, but who's also dangerous enough as a receiver out of the backfield that you can hand it to him or split him out on a route. I'd put this at about a 9 out of 10 confidence level that Harvey ends up as the clear second option behind Dobbins. Next, with John Franklin Myers now gone, the Titans handed him a big contract this offseason because he earned it. Who steps in to fill that void on the defensive line? We know Zach Allen has talked openly about how his own breakout was fueled in part by opposing offenses having to account for Franklin Myers next to him, which opened things up. So who picks up that slack? Names in the mix include Malcolm Roach, Jay Jones, John Ridgway, Tyler Onyedem, and Saivion Jones. My prediction is that this won't be a one-man replacement. It's going to be a full committee effort. But if I had to bet on one player who takes the biggest leap forward, I'd put my money on Saivion Jones. The Broncos have built out one of the deepest defensive line rotations in football, and that depth is exactly why losing one really good player doesn't have to be catastrophic. Now here's a fun one. Who becomes the true third receiving option behind Jalen Waddle and Courtland Sutton? One of the most underrated things about Bo Nix is how well he spreads the ball around. There were multiple games last season where he found 10 or more different targets. He doesn't lock on to one favorite receiver and force the ball there. He takes what the defense gives him. So don't be surprised if there are games where Marvin Mims leads the team in catches, other games where it's Troy Franklin, and other games where Pat Bryant has his moment. It might sound like a non-answer, but that's actually the beauty of it. It might not be ideal for anyone's fantasy roster, but it's exactly what you want from an actual football team, because it means defenses can never key in on a single guy. Sean Payton is going to spend all week scheming up specific matchups for specific players. This is a Troy Franklin game because of the coverage they'll see. This is a Marvin Mims game for the same reason. If forced to pick one name as the biggest riser, I'd lean toward Troy Franklin. But I think this race is going to be a lot closer than most people expect. Then there's the tight end room, which might be the single most important question mark on this entire roster. This is the position that desperately needs a leap in production, and the Broncos clearly agree because they added multiple new pieces there this offseason. Between the newcomers and a full offseason for Evan Ingram, there's a lot of meat left on the bone at this position. Given Ingram's prior chemistry with Davis Webb, my prediction is that Ingram becomes the guy who finally shows Broncos fans why the team invested real money in him last offseason, and that Davis Webb finds ways to get him more involved as a play designer. Next up, who steps into the role vacated by P.J. Locke? Locke was a fan favorite over the last couple of seasons, someone the coaching staff trusted deeply, and his departure leaves a real hole. The frontrunners here include a returning special teams standout who set a franchise record for special teams tackles last season, a heavy-hitting safety many fans have had their eye on since his college days, and a former college walk-on who converted from wide receiver to safety and has serious untapped upside. My prediction is that the special teams standout ends up winning this job outright, given how much Sean Payton has praised players who make their name on special teams before translating that intensity to a bigger role. Now here's a structural question that matters more than people realize. How different is this offense actually going to look with Davis Webb calling plays instead of Sean Payton? Payton was famously meticulous, sometimes maddeningly so, letting Bo Nix sit at the line of scrimmage waiting for the call so the defense couldn't get comfortable. Davis Webb, on the other hand, ran an up-tempo, pass-heavy system in college. So are we about to see a radically faster, no-huddle version of this offense? My honest prediction is no. Not drastically, anyway. I do think we'll see more hurry-up elements show up early in training camp, and I think there will be moments of that up-tempo identity mixed in during the season. But with arguably the best defense in football on this roster, I don't expect the Broncos to abandon situational football and just run no huddle constantly. I think this offense ends up looking largely similar to what we saw under Sean Payton, with a few new wrinkles mixed in. And finally, where exactly does Jalen Waddle line up? At Alabama and with the Dolphins, he's shown he can play outside, work the slot, or even line up as a backfield weapon taking screens and jet sweeps. Expect the Broncos to use him everywhere. Some fans are already predicting he instantly becomes the clear-cut WR1 over Courtland Sutton, but I don't buy that entirely. I still expect Sutton to hold down significant outside reps. What I do expect is Waddle working primarily out of the slot, lining up opposite Sutton, occasionally stacking alongside him, and even showing up in the backfield the way Marvin Mims has been used in years past. He's going to be moved around constantly, and that versatility alone should make this offense a nightmare for opposing defensive coordinators to prepare for. So there you have it, a full slate of questions that are about to start getting answered the moment pads go on at training camp. The quarterback conversation is finally, blessedly settled. But everything around him, the running back pecking order, the defensive line replacements, the receiver rotation, the tight end breakout, the new voice calling plays, all of that is still very much unwritten. And if even half of these predictions play out the way I expect, this Broncos team is going to walk into the regular season looking like one of the most complete rosters in the entire NFL. So let me know down in the comments which one of these questions you're most excited to see answered. Do you agree that RJ Harvey wins the RB2 job? Do you think Evan Engram finally breaks out? Do you think Bo Nix cracks the top 30 players in the league by the end of this season? I want to hear your predictions, because I guarantee not everyone watching this is going to agree with mine, and that's exactly what makes training camp so much fun. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you hit that like button, drop a comment with your own predictions, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single update as training camp unfolds. There is a lot to be excited about as a Broncos fan right now, and this channel is going to be covering every single storyline as it develops. Let's ride into this season together.